Welcome to the Calls with Clients podcast, episode 6, Older Dog with Crawling Baby Problems. This is an interesting one. They have an older dog that's 9 years old, that's got some existing behavior problems, and they have a baby that's starting to crawl around and walk, and there's some concern that the two are going to start conflicting and having some potential issues. Greg Winters with Personal Dog Training. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you doing?
Good. So, I got your text message, obviously.
Yes.
And then how'd you hear about me?
My mom actually sent me a link. We've been talking about getting my dog trained, and so we've been kind of browsing around. So she sent me your link. So I have no idea how she found you, but
Okay. Because so much of my work is word of mouth and referral based by veterinarians and people like that. So lots of time there's like a warm connection, so people kind of understand what I do. Did you get a chance to look at my website at all, or?
I did. I picked up that last night.
Okay, good. The reason is because you're calling me you're going to tell me about Teddy in a little bit, but you're probably calling me for some kind of behavioral adjustment or need.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I have to talk about this with every client. It's almost like I sound like a broken record.
Sure.
Traditional dog training wants us to teach you sit, stay, coming down. They want to teach you this positive reinforcement food luring, which is not going to help you with the common behavior problems. Right? So we're going to talk about why I've developed a system and a series of things to teach you to help with whatever problem you're having, you know?
Sure.
So tell me about Teddy. He's a dachshund, you said?
Yeah, so he's a dachshund pit bull mix. So he's like 50-50.
Oh, hilarious.
He's a rescue.
Okay.
He definitely looks like a dachshund, but a little bit of a pit in the face and attitude. He is 9. He'll be 10 in June.
Okay.
We're originally from Minnesota, and we moved down here in Scottsdale, January 23. So we've been here a little over a year. And I had a baby last April. Okay. So he's been like adjusting to that. And I mean, even before we had the baby, like he just has like anxious behavior.
Okay.
You know, somebody comes to the door, it's like aggressive barking, jumps on people. He's not like an aggressive dog. Like as soon as the person gives attention, you know, he loves it and the tail wagging, whatever. Yeah. But he sounds aggressive. Yeah. He doesn't listen to his commands. Like he's done like basic behavioral training or basic training, like obedience training when he was a puppy, but we haven't done anything since then. Okay. And with my baby, it's just like I have a lot of anxiety about them interacting. Okay. I don't really let them interact much. I did more when he was younger and like not moving around. Yeah. But now that my son's like trying to walk and stuff, I don't really let them interact too much. Okay. We'll talk through all this. I have all kinds of experience, and there's a lot of things we do. You have every reason to kind of be a little unsure or worried. I'll help you understand what we got to work through. Yes. And what some of the issues are. Yeah, I kind of just want somebody to come in and like observe and be like, here's what I think you need. And then the only caveat to that is we do go back to Minnesota in the summertime. So we are leaving June, like middle of June, and we won't be back until early September. That's fine. That gives us a month and a half to start getting on some of these bigger concepts. And these are going to be concepts that, again, you'd call dog trainers. Well, we're going to put you into this program where you do sit, stay, coming down, and you're going to do it for 6 weeks, and just whatever, right? Yeah. No, we're going to talk about what you actually want to talk about, which is, sweet dog, Teddy. Nice with people. Yeah, he's getting a little too overly territorial. Any dog that's territorial and barking and their owners can't stop them, like dead stop them, concerns me. Because over time, most of them they advance into doing bad things eventually at too high a percentage. So I'll show you how to deal with that territorialism and not just, he happens to then be okay with the person because they pay attention. Yeah, right. Not that reliable. We have a path in our backyard and he barks at everybody on the path. Yeah, that just shows you he's overexcited at best and reactive, and that's never good. Now with babies and kids, there's a lot to kind of unpack here because if your dog has any kind of problems with a variety of things, we want to identify if your dog is hand or touch sensitive. This is a born thing. They're either born, like you got to pet them on top of their head and they kind of crunch down a little bit, even though they don't bite or they're not really insecure. Or other dogs, no matter how you touch them, they're just fine with it. If your dog has even close to any frontal or hand touch sensitivity, I'm going to give you a series of commands that we can start to work on that. And even the baby, as they get a little bit older, can start doing the same thing.
if the dog has not socialized with other dogs, or has socialized with other dogs, or is leash reactive with other dogs, we worry about your kid crawling around, looking like another dog and getting attacked, or being treated like another dog at best.
Yes, that's kind of where I think we're at. Because he socializes with other dogs, like at the dog park where he's done daycare and he does great.
Okay.
But he, I think, thinks he's the alpha. So we have a baby gate, and as soon as he'll like sneak out of his baby gate and start crawling around, Teddy starts barking, goes towards him, like thinks he's gonna mess with him. And I don't let them get to that point.
So I don't know if you've been going to a dog park or doggy daycare recently, but I'm going to start advising you about why I recommend everybody get out of that environment for a variety of reasons. One is if you're not able to walk past other dogs, like every dog on planet Earth, calmly, I'm going to remind you that socializing the way that everybody tells you to, hey, drop them off at the doggy daycare or bring them to the dog park.
Yeah.
It causes leash reactivity. I mean, I spent the first 2 years of my 15-year career in the dog park every day. And finally I came to my goddamn senses. I kind of knew earlier. I had seen, dogs I trained that were well-behaved get attacked and fights and disease and dogs fighting over water bowls and things I just, you don't see very often, even on the behavior side. What I'm getting at is, so and this is a very important concept that I hopefully can get across to you because it relates directly back to your child. If your dog's in doggy daycare getting overtouched, overtouching, overpressuring with other dogs, it's overexcited only and overtouching in nature, and they're doing great at doggy daycare. Of course, they want your business. They don't understand. They don't want to understand their environments are toxic and are causing a lot of problems, and they will cause dogs to attack children. Yes, because they're having bad interactions, they're being overtouched by all these dogs and being set up to become sensitive to other types of touching and other types of face-to-face contact. Your dog crawls and ends up face-to-face with your dog. And I'm telling you, it happens. I'm not even making this shit up. I'm on the front lines of this stuff. It's happening all the time. Even clients I work with, that I think they're understanding the concepts, they have a puppy we're raising. I had it happen a couple times. Puppy we're raising, and he's like a year old, and then he has an incident. And then I start talking to him, and it's like, because you got to internalize some of these concepts I'm going to keep repeating. But one is your kid's a dog, your dog's a kid. Facial, frontal, touching. Your kid being too touchy can be a factor. Touching the dog when they don't want to be touched. Knowing all that stuff right away. It's better to be cautious.
Yeah, and I stay home with my kids, so I'm always around it. So I'm I can't live where I have to keep them separate at all times. But I need a safe way for them both to live here and not have issues.
How big is he?
Still live a good life. He is 36 pounds.
Okay.
He should be about 30 pounds, but he's gained a little weight down here.
See, unless he's got some kind of other hidden things we got, maybe we're playing down already, or we haven't talked about. He really has lunged at people, or has he ever gotten aggressive with the baby, or shown any sign of
He's kind of showed signs of where he scrunches his nose and face, and it looks like he's going to bite. He's never bit anybody.
Okay.
He's made motions towards other little kids if he's been, we've had, I think he was 1.5, and he was kind of following Teddy around, trying to throw a ball for him, and Teddy was over it.
Okay.
And he kind of lunged at him.
Okay.
Made a lot of noise, didn't bite, didn't do anything, but it was hey, leave me alone, I'm done.
Well, anything a dog furls its lips at or is willing to growl at, if they don't bite it, we're lucky. At best, they're telling us, please help me with this immediately. I'm not doing well.
Yeah,
so
you can tell he's just
not good with kids.
He doesn't want to be touched.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to be around kids, and so we're going to leverage some of the tools that I teach. So, if you could teach the dog, these things are becoming a little bit popularized, the place command. Everybody's kind of hearing about this. I teach it with a bunch of behavioral, checkoffs, and we start teaching this dog place command, and then he knows that he has different space and nobody's going to go bother him. The baby doesn't bother him. The baby can run back and forth. He's not supposed to do anything except watch the baby and change how he responds to the baby by just staying in the bed. By leveraging that command and teaching it a certain way, we'll be able to change how he responds. Then he comes off. I have a command called the personal boundary no jumping communication command. I've labeled all these things communication commands. It's my system I developed to get right at this stuff. I'm going to show you how to ask for a specific boundary, so then you can sit, you and the baby say, and he's sitting there 4 feet away. Now, it's not stay. Stay will not accomplish this behavioral goals that you have in any fashion. So we're going to bump them off a little bit with a leash. It's a technique. I'm going to show you with the leash and the collar and a little touch and a bump. And you can't live in place command. Then you got to get him to stop following you. Just stuff like that to add structure. Yeah. Then I'll show you how to correct him the right way with a leash and collar for something like going after something on the ground he shouldn't. And then we get a basic correction in there, make sure he doesn't have any weird responses to it. Then your verbal correction for a lot of things will start working. Like he goes to go over and do something, and you go, and he dead stops. Or you say no, and he actually does it. And then we do have to, with him, there's an overall picture. We're going to need to re-expose him to children in general, I think, which is like, so my puppy here, Captain, just turned 6 months old. I got him at 9 weeks old. He loves children already. I don't have kids of my own. Okay, so how did I do that? Well, I happen to live diagonally across from an elementary school, and from a very young age, I've been taking him out when they have school coming in and out and walking past everything with structure.
Sure.
If he wanted to get excited, I corrected and continued. If he wanted to bark, I corrected and continued. Once he showed being calm, then I stopped and see if he could maintain it. Then he started to be introduced to things again. You're going to have to learn to walk past the other dogs and people and kids again. How to have a kid, maybe a slightly older child, pick up the leash or do the wait and relax thing that we'll be teaching. Or you have a kid, as your child gets a little bit older, it's a little bit down the road, but can pick up the leash and walk your dog just onto a place command. That's very powerful. The dog starts going, oh, the baby gives me the same information. Or when you have your baby and the dog comes into your space and you ask for a boundary on yourself and the baby, that becomes very powerful. It becomes you starting to take back some influence. Like, hey, listen, you're going to come in when I tell you under these parameters. The baby's an extension of me. That becomes really important, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. She sounds like a sweet dog, though.
He is a sweet dog, and it's been a hard transition year for him.
I bet.
Even before the baby, obviously he had some of the behavioral issues, but we didn't have to deal with it as much because it wasn't in our house, So.
Interesting.
Yeah, we need to do something.
Okay, now what part of the valley do you live in?
Thanks for listening to the Calls with Clients podcast, episode 6, Older Dog with Crawling Baby Problems. I did get a chance to work with these people a few times and help them point out some obvious ways we could avoid conflict between the dog and the baby as we worked on the dog's overall behavior problems. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get the latest episodes.